Hi YouTube. This is going to be vlog number 30. I'm getting ready to clean, or I'm getting ready to move out of the apartment and I need to clean, so I've already cleaned the walls and now I'm just rinsing them off. Save yourself some time. A little tip here, get yourself like a Liebman Wonder Mop. Work smarter, not harder. But anyways, this is going to be vlog number 30. And what I want to talk to you all about today was my time working in retail. You know, if you've ever worked in retail before, you know how hectic of an environment that can be. And back in 1999, when I was 19, I was having a heck of a time trying to get a job, so my mom saw an advertisement in the local paper that the local grocery store, Cops Food Center, was looking for people to hire. So, having been on enough job interviews, I figured I'd learned enough, and I was finally able to. I was able to get a job there because I was able to succeed at the interview. I'd probably interviewed like God, I want to say like 24 jobs, and I mean these weren't like you know career jobs. They were all like menial, low-paying jobs. And so finally I was able to get a job at the store as a grocery stocker. And I think being a grocery stocker, at least part of it, is why I have a crappy back today, because a lot of miles going up and down. But I honestly had no clue what I was in for. Because when you work in a retail environment, you basically have to be a bitch to whoever it is you're talking to at the time, and I was never ready for that. Plus, you work with quite an eclectic group of people, and so, like literally within the first 2 or 3 months of my experience as a grocery stocker, I think I probably was on the verge of being fired like maybe 4 or 5 times because of faux pas that I was making. And this was before I was diagnosed or anything. And so one thing that happened pretty early on during my time at the grocery store was there was one night guy was helping me pull a pallet out of the back room, and what had happened was the nail had gotten caught under one of the wheels on the pallet jack, and I was pulling it out, and it was kind of I'd never experienced that before. I knew that it was hard to pull out, but I didn't realize that there was a nail stuck under it, and so what it did was it made a huge black mark on the floor, and I ended up making this black mark, and I was probably about 50 or 60 feet long from the back room over to where I parked it. And the floor people at night, who worked at night at the time, were just absolutely livid with me for doing that. And when I got confronted by it, I didn't know what to say, and I was completely in shock for it. And so I ended up going nonverbal, and that only pissed them off even more. And I got very good talking to for that one. And then there were, personnel issues. There were people there that, for whatever reason, they didn't like me very much. Well, obviously we know why they didn't like me. But it kind of got to be a point where I would be doing something and they would try and be as far away from me as humanly possible. And then I had around that same time, that first couple months, I had another run-in with a customer where, let me check my frame in here. There we go. I had a run-in with a customer one night. I got called up to beg, and I'd never begged before. And so when the stuff started coming down my way, because I had not received any training, I had absolutely no idea how to go about proceeding it. And I made a huge mess out of this customer's groceries. And it resulted in a very lengthy letter being sent off to the store manager. And I managed to get another strike against me. And so the outcome of that was basically I ended up getting kind of a brief primer on how to bag groceries. And after that I was fine. But the big holdup for me, at least, as far as working at that store, was that I just couldn't go into something and be able to do it. I needed to have prior instruction on how to actually achieve what it was that they were wanting me to achieve. And I think once they finally got that through their heads, they were able to work with me a little bit, and I was able to actually become a decent worker. Because the problem, see, what ultimately did not keep me from getting fired was because if you've ever worked in a retail environment, you know that the quality of the employee you get can be very, very, very low, because typically retail is a place of last resort for a lot of people to go work. Which kind of was for me. And what set me apart from other people that I was working with was that if my schedule said that I was going to be in at 10:30 on any given night, I was in at 10:30. Which, believe it or not, is something that a lot of people do not do. But a lot of trial and error that first year working in retail, and I think it was simply because that I wound up being a punctual employee. It was the only thing that ultimately ended up saving me from not losing my job. Oh yeah, I've said things that, have made employees walk out and quit their job. I've had people I've worked with who have run off crying because of things that I said. I mean, yeah, I made a lot of faux pas. Let's just say that. So I had, once I was able to kind of get a hang of things and figure out how to deal with stuff, I was able to, get myself settled down. And I did have a pretty good streak for a while going. But then the fall of 2002 came around when we remodeled the store. And this remodel, it literally drove me to the brink. So as I've stated before, if you're on the spectrum, we tend to hate change, and remodeling a store from front to back is a humongous change. And every day was something completely new as far as stocking groceries, because they were remodeled. Because during the remodel of the store, they still got to keep the shelves stocked and everything. So as they were reconstructing things and destructuring things, everything was getting moved around. So basically, every day I had to relearn a new store layout pretty much every single day while we were going through this remodel. And went into a really, 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 really bad depression. Had meltdowns where if something got to be too much, I wound up in the bathroom And it got to a point where I was literally about ready to walk out. Actually, I was going to walk out. I reached a point where I just could not take it no more. Because every day for 3 months was like the first day of a new job for me. And I'd reached my breaking point. I was suicidal, I was despondent. And I decided that night, this was right around my birthday too, right around my 23rd birthday. I had decided that I was going to just put in my 2 weeks and be done with it. And I had discovered by accident that same night, just, overhearing, my boss talking. He had basically said that he was thankful that this was the last night of the remodel. And when I had heard that, I was like, wow, I don't have to quit after all. Because the way the store was on that night was the way it remained for the next 4 years until I had to quit that job. But it was when I was actually working at the grocery store, 2004, when I found out that I was spectrum bound, and then I realized I was able to make sense of a lot of things. But in 2005, summer 2005 was probably, I would say, the best summer that I ever had when I was working at the grocery store, because all the other people that I worked with had their share of issues. I had people who were paranoid schizophrenic, got on meds. I had people who were schizotypal who were on meds. I had people who were severely ADHD. There was me. There was at least one other person who I know was on the spectrum. And as a group of people, we just had a ball. It was the best summer that I ever had. And unfortunately, in 2006, when that year came around, that was my last summer working at the grocery store. They had changed things up as far as scheduling goes and the way they doled out hours, and it wound up being a thing where I would come in, I'd be scheduled to work 8 and I'd end up staying like 13 or 14 just because they didn't give us enough people to do it. And because I was on my way to finishing up my career or my college degree, and I had another job at the time to kind of keep me preoccupied, I decided that I had had enough, and so I quit. But the moral of the story is that, even though I sure as heck wasn't ready for a retail environment, I got a lot of real life social skills training when I worked at a grocery store. And if you can hack it, it certainly is a good way to kind of get yourself a firm foundation on how to be a somewhat social person. And that was one of the things that really, really, really helped me out, believe it or not. As stressful and as awful as it was at times, I was able to give myself a good programming base for learning how to, interact with other people and do so in a cordial and courteous and likable manner. So that's kind of my story for today. This is vlog number 30. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and thanks for watching.